there are so many reasons why I got into teaching.
One of the best things is the light bulb moment.
When you see a pupil suddenly understand something, that's really, really special.
Every child is so full of potential, and the thing that makes me proudest to be a teacher is seeing them realise what they are capable of.
I don't think any other job can give you the same satisfaction.
That's why I chose to teach.
You could get £26,000 tax-free to train. Search Apply to Teach. Selected subjects only, subject to eligibility.
Ladies and gentlemen. Podcasting since 2005. You were listening to Gamertag Radio with your hosts Godfrey, Pete Rock, Parris, Pasta. Come on. Yeah.
Welcome to episode 501 of Gamertag Radio. This is Parris, and Pete's not here, Patrick's not here, and of course Danny's not here because he's a Destiny hater. But as promised, I told you this would be Destiny Talk Radio. So since those guys are not here, I went to the source. I got the community manager from Bungie. I have DeeJ returning again. Thank you for joining me.
Here to take up the slack, my friend. Glad to be here.
No, thank you. I really appreciate you taking that time of your busy schedule because the Taken King's about to come out here in less than 2 weeks at this point, right?
Yeah, we're full steam ahead, and we can see the light at the end of this tunnel. And we've been in this tunnel all summer long, so it's going to be pretty sweet to emerge out the other side and to actually do my favorite thing, which is to stop talking about the game and what it might be and start listening to people tell us what it actually is. And we got to do that last September. We're going to do it again this September, and it cannot come soon enough.
Oh, absolutely. Huge fan of the game, and I definitely want to jump into that in just a second. But before we do, I want to remind everybody, go to gamertagradio.com. You can check us out at play.it. If you want to leave us a voicemail, that number is 786-273-7GTR. And of course, if you want to leave us an email, that is fanmail@gamertagradio.com. Now, I want to get into year one of Destiny with you, but before we do, you just put out your weekly update. Like today is September 3rd when we're recording this, and you just put it out about a couple hours ago. And one of the things that you mentioned is on September 8th, when 2.0 drops, we're going to get a Crucible preview from Lord Shack. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. If you are a player of Destiny, if you own some version of Destiny, we are opening up the Crucible. It's going to be home to a preview event where people can understand how Rift and Mayhem Clash are going to change the way that you fight in the Crucible. You're going to be able to stride some of the new maps, and you're going to be able to kick ass in some of those new game modes. The new super abilities and the new weapons, of course, are something that we'll save until September 15th. But since we're deploying that content as part of the update, we figured let's let people go in. We know people are chomping at the bit. They're ready for new content. They're ready for new ways to challenge themselves. So the Crucible is a great place to let people get just a taste of what's going to be new and exciting about Destiny in year two. The Crucible is also no place for mercy. So watch your back and bring a steady fire team.
Right on. And I have to say, for me, on a personal note, I'm very happy when I read that, because I'm going to miss the first week of the Taken King. I'm going to be out of the country that week. So matter of fact, I'm not even going to be able to touch the game until I'm sure someone's already beaten the raid when that comes out on the 18th.
Wow.
So that sucks for me, but oh well, I'll live through it. But let's get into year one. I've been dying to ask you, in the last time you were on this podcast, we were still in the beta.
Yeah.
We didn't know what Destiny really was at that point. We just had a little sneak peek in the beta. It was still in that mode of you had to play it to actually understand what the game was going to be.
Sure.
We didn't know what the community was going to look like at that point. So since that time, in this year one of Destiny, What's the typical day in the life of DeeJ? How has your job changed?
God, my job has changed a lot over the course of the past year. I think when the game first launched, I didn't fully understand what it was like to support a live game. My experience with playing games and managing a community that plays a game on a micro level, like my own website, my own clan, and meeting the needs of those 100 people who are actively playing a game, did not prepare me for what it would be like to be serving the Destiny community. And that's really how I think of it. I mean, the title of community manager is a complete and total misnomer. Over 20 million people have created a guardian in this living social world, we say all the time. And to say that one person or even a small squad of people at Bungie can manage that is crazy. It just doesn't happen. But we can try to serve that community as best we can. We can tell those people what they need in order to stay connected to the game. We can address player issues. We can collect their feedback and socialize that stuff with the development team. We can give them an idea as to who makes their game and how they think. These were all of the things that I was ready to do. I remember, Jason Jones at Bungie, approached me in the kitchen about a month before launch and said to me point blank, "Are you ready?" And I told him, "You know what? I'm not ready. I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I'm ready, but I'm willing. I'm eager for people to be playing this thing. I'm excited to see what Destiny is through their eyes and to really learn what we've created in terms of how the players relate to it." And I was excited for that prospect, but completely unprepared for what Destiny Year One would be. And I would say that for the first few months after the game launched, we were sort of rushing from one topic to the next and sort of trying to catch up to the conversation that we should be leading. And I think things changed for me personally and got a lot better sometime after the first of the year, I think. After a few months of sort of reacting to the immediate needs of the Destiny community, after releasing The Dark Below and understanding how an expansion would really change the way people play and relate to the experience, I really started to talk to a lot more to the live team. And the live team at Bungie doesn't make the game as much as they, curate the day-to-day world that the Guardians inhabit. And to hear about their process and to listen to them talk about what they were thinking about for some of the subsequent updates to the game, and to be able to represent the community more actively in that room, to have them invite me into that process and feed me with information and say, let's call the shot. When are we fixing the heavy ammo bug? When are we adding colorblind support? Talk to me about what's going into the next major update, and let's commit to that, and let's interview the people who are doing that work, and let's have people looking forward to what's coming to Destiny instead of talking about what happened over the course of the past week. Instead of saying, the Bungie Weekly Update, this week at Bungie, a bunch of stuff happened, and let's talk about how it happened and why it happened and what it means that it happened. And then we started casting the conversation forward to say, this week at Bungie, we're talking about what's happening in a month or 3 weeks or 2 weeks, and we're deploying a patch next week, and here's the patch, So as time goes on, we are sort of taking steps toward the next evolution for Destiny and keeping people included, at least conversationally, in the process that this is a dynamic world and this is a changing landscape. And this is a place where we're constantly thinking about how the player experience can be better and how the world can evolve based on their feedback or in reaction to their behavior. So it's been a very interesting journey for us as a studio, and certainly for me as a person that works at Bungie. And here we are, a couple weeks away from the second year of this game. Our first anniversary as a community, as Guardians, and a whole new adventure to embark on together, a new raid waiting in the wings, a whole new suite of activities in the Crucible, a whole new end game to challenge people. I'm really excited about the fact that Destiny is a game that has held people's attention, and we've got all these people so eager to play more and to experience new things, and they're lined up on the starting line just waiting for that starting pistol to crack so that they can jump back into the action with new things to do.
Well, I think that's been the most fascinating thing for me when it comes to Destiny. I am a self-admitted huge fan of the game. Anyone that listens to this knows that, so I'm not hiding that. But the one thing that I've always said when I try to talk about this game to people that may have played it when it first came out and they fell off the wagon, or they're like, oh, I'm not getting to that because of bad reviews. I always say, to me, this is the best 6.5 game I've ever played because of moments like the first time I defeated the Vault of Glass, obviously doing Crota on hard mode, or even just recently with Skolas. Just I think after shout out to my friend Khalif, it took us a week to finally beat Skolas, but we were determined every night. We're on social media talking back and forth with our friends, and it became this event, so much so that when we finally beat it, we're tweeting about it, we're putting it out on Facebook, we're taking screenshots, and I think I literally sat in my chair for about 20 minutes, a good move, because I couldn't believe that I actually did something like that. But it brings me to this question, again, just talking about year one and just the experiences internally with you guys at Bungie. What was it like when you hit that starting pistol for the Vault of Glass and you were looking for that world's first? I just envision all of you guys like in a kitchen, just staring at monitors the whole time, trying to see who was going to be able to do it first. What was it like for that on that first raid?
It's actually kind of uncanny. In our kitchen, we do have 3 monitors mounted to the walls, over the cupboards. And, usually we're monitoring, different aspects of the player network, or, we're keeping track of, the next milestones in our production process. But on that day, yeah, absolutely. One of the really interesting things about the Destiny community, in comparison to any of the other incantations of, the Bungie community, really as we relate to them, is that we are so much more connected to the player than we've ever been. And this was apparent to us even in the beta. We were watching people stream the beta. We were watching people up on Twitch playing the beta, and our network administrators could even, now that this experimental network was alive and kicking and people were experiencing it, they could even sort of poke it and update it. Like, let's deploy this back-end fix and see if we kick them offline. So we literally had, test subjects in a live virtual environment, and we could monitor their heartbeat from minute to minute. And when the Vault of Glass came around, same exact thing. We could say, okay, they're going into this thing that we've created. We think we understand it. We know how it works. We've had it tested privately by different clans, and we tested it internally among our own people, and we're really enthusiastic about it. But it happens all the time that you create a game and you think it's really challenging, and then someone goes in and they replicate what took you days to do in an hour. I mean, that's just the nature. Right. That's the nature of releasing a game into the wild. Every PvP designer or any avid player in the studio who thinks, oh man, when this game comes out, I'm gonna wreck. I've got such a leg up on this community. You've got about a 48-hour head start. And by then, they're going to understand every tactical advantage that you've memorized on every single map, every perch, every choke point, every route of traffic. I mean, that was our experience playing Halo. You release this game into the wild, and the community is going to catch up to you and the things that you learned in developing this game for years in a matter of days. So we were kind of holding our breath. Personally, we released the Vault of Glass. I thought, please don't beat it in an hour. Please, please, please don't beat it in an hour. Right. And I watched long enough to think, okay, these guys are beating their heads against a brick wall. My own personal clan had helped us to test it. And they were, in their own moment of schadenfreude watching different people stream. And it's like, oh yeah, they've reached the oracles. They're about to go crazy. And, when I reached the point where I realized that this was challenging people and they were stumped and there was a puzzle here to solve, I helped myself to some bedtime and woke up the next morning. And as soon as my eyes opened, I reached for my phone and I'm like looking through our Twitter account, and it's still people tweeting, like Admiral Baru still doesn't know what's going on. Looks like Dado and Prime Guard are still trying to figure it out, and people are taking a break to get some breakfast and take a nap, and they're going to come back to it later, and I thought to myself, we've done it. We created a riddle that they need to solve. And I had never been an MMO player. Before Destiny, I had never been a raider. I was somebody that played shooters. I was a getaway car pilot for capture the flag missions, or I was a helicopter pilot, or I was somebody that played a lot of hardcore search and destroy. So this idea of this long form mission that took a lot of problem solving and teamwork was certainly something I could relate to, because a lot of these different shooters that I played previously depended on having a great team and a little bit of problem solving. And, okay, here's this new game. Now we're playing, Rush and Battlefield, or now we're playing hardcore search and destroy and Call of Duty, and being able to storm into a new game on the first week and figure out some of these new conventions and new maps and new mechanics with a clan that you'd played with for a long time was always our favorite part about the game. But to take that and to say, you're going to go into this experience and your default condition is going to be that you will die, you will lose. You'll need to beat your head against this brick wall until you understand its secrets and unravel its mysteries. And I was so hopeful that, that would pay off and that would be the experience for them. Because like you said, when you finally beat Skolos, and you're sort of cracking those virtual high fives with your buddies, and you're tweeting out your moments of triumph, as we love to say on Bungie.net these days, that was exactly the experience that we wanted to cultivate for you. And when I walked into work and still someone had yet to beat it, and we've got all the monitors in the studio broadcasting different streams, and we're rooting for different clans. And, there was Prime Guard who had very publicly called the shot on our forum. We are going to be the first to world first this raid, and I met them at an event prior to the release of the game, shrugged and said, guys, what if you're not? You are so publicly making this dare with the rest of the people that want to play this game that you're going to world first this thing. What if you're not? And the cooler heads that prevailed in that clan that, have now become a different group named Math Class just sort of said to me, we've become good friends, talking to each other and playing different games, waiting for this one to come out. I hope that we'll still be friends.
Right.
And they have done that. But at the same time, they were the world first Destiny clan. They were the first people to solve that riddle and to figure it out and to, vanquish Atheon in his own vault of glass and to earn those chatter white shaders. And, it was a great moment for them. It was a great moment for the studio, too, because we watched this experience come to fruition and we watched a group of people truly become heroes in our own community. And, it was nice that I had had the chance to meet those people prior, because they got to call me on the phone and say, hey, we think we did it. We think we did it. Yeah. And literally, like a photo finish, I got to stride through the studio with them on my phone, like, okay, hang on, and walk up to Bungie user research and say, do I have an unlock flag on Prime Guard? And they're like, that's a validated world first. You guys did it, and I can hear, some dude, like screaming at his buddies over his headset, like, yeah, we got it. We did it, and next thing you know, you're interviewing these guys and, getting ready to sort of build a monument to them, on the Bungie blog, and to say, these were the ones that went in and did it first. And, making heroes out of the people that play the game, creating legends in the community is pretty much what we wrapped the whole sales pitch for Destiny around. When we say to these people, become legend, it implies that there will be people who are aware of your exploits. There will be people out there to admire the awesome things that you do in the game. And a lot of that stuff falls to us on the community team, the people that make Bungie.net a place where you can go and point at stuff that you've done and say, I'm awesome. Or, I got the movie of the week this week. I edited together a cool montage showing off, how much of a badass I am. And I got my own personal music video. I mean, we relish in making the people who play our game the main characters and the heroes in this world. And the Vault of Glass was a great watershed moment where that really, had an exclamation point behind it.
This is Gamertag Radio. Voicemail 786-2737-GTR.
This summer has been a very, very busy time for us, and that's why I love to look presentable. Like when we went to E3, I took my Harry's product, shaved over there, and I went to the events, I went to press conferences, all that. Even during podcast movement, you know, I had a big moment with the Hall of Fame award and everything, and I had to look presentable. That's why I love Harry's. Harry's.com was started by two guys who were passionate about creating a better shaving experience. And that's what I use to look smooth. I shave a couple times a week. And let me tell you, ever since I've been using this product, I love it. My skin is very, very smooth. Quality feels legit. Say goodbye to choosing between an expensive brand and say hello to Harry's. High quality blades at a price you will love. Go to harrys.com right now and enter code GTR at checkout to get $5 off your first purchase. Get a month worth of shaving for just $10 with code GTR at checkout. That's harry.com, promo code GTR.
Voicemail 786-2737-GTR.
No, absolutely. And that's the other thing about this game that I find so fascinating. It is so polarizing. Love Destiny, hate Destiny, lukewarm to Destiny. It is always in the news cycle, for better or for worse. And I want to jump back into more of the community stuff in just a second, but I have to ask you this. So we talk as a positive when we look at the Vault of Glass, but on the flip side internally with Bungie, you know, you had instances where during the Vault of Glass, people were basically able to cheese it. Same with the Crota raid. They were able to cheese it, you know, would pull the network cable or whatever it was. And then more specifically, which I'm so curious to hear about from your perspective, is the loot cave. Mm-hmm. Obviously, this is not something you expected prior to it coming out. But what was the thought process while that was actively going on? Because I mean, I raised my hand. I spent many of hour blindly shooting into that cave so I could get purple engrams and get screwed by the cryptarch. So I'm just so curious what was going on internally during that time.
I don't need to say anything more than what you just said. I spent many, many hours shooting blindly into the cave so that I could get purple engrams and go get screwed by the cryptarch. If somebody asked you, hey, what's Destiny? And you told them that, they'd say, well, okay, that doesn't sound any fun, but if that's how we want to spend your time, that's not aspirational. That's certainly not what we envisioned for the player. And we have been committed to supporting this game. So when that's the sort of feedback that comes out of the community, we know we can do better. We know the game is designed to provide better experiences than that. So it's just a matter of going in and trying some different things so that Destiny is fun, so that Destiny is challenging, so that when people get together to do something, it's something that is challenging and it's something that requires them to team up and to work together. You know, and I know the Loot Cave had its own social meta. You know, people non-verbally illuminating, this is the line, don't cross the line, or the people don't spawn. And that sort of collaborative problem solving is exactly what Destiny was designed for. And we wanted to provoke those beautiful moments where people who had never met each other before come together and experience this challenging social activity, you know, where you've got a gun in your hand and you've got magic at your disposal and you're this amazing hero. But we can envision you just doing something a little bit more fun than being a firing squad who shoots at the first thing that moves. That's not the sort of game that would keep people coming back to it month over month, year over year. So, you know, we put in the effort to make sure that Destiny was as good as it could be. And I think the Loot Cave was one of the first instances of that. It was also one of the first instances in which we changed something. And there was a group of people in the community that said, but we liked it that way. And we said, right, come along with us on this. This is going to be a collaborative journey. We're going to expose you to bigger and better things. We are the entertainer. We are the creator. It is our job to curate this world. It is our job to give you something that you didn't imagine. It is our job to provide for you an experience that you're not expecting and to continue to surprise you and to continue to make sure this world changes and reacts to your behavior. That's one of the things I said before. I think the Loot Cave is a great example of how the creator reacted to the people who were experiencing their creation, and how the Destiny community was really, for the first time, a partner in our creative process. And let's make the strikes more rewarding. Let's make sure the Cryptarch isn't screwing you, because if the Cryptarch screwing you is provoking you to go and take what you perceive to be the path of least resistance, then that's something that we need to improve upon. And let's make sure that the game is more rewarding. Let's make sure that the things that are more fun to do than standing still and shooting into a dark cave reward you in the ways that you expect. And the monument that will remain standing in that loot cave is a hallmark to people who joined Destiny late, on our forum, or, even on the Destiny the Game subreddit, or any place where people talk about Destiny. There are always these beautiful moments where someone new to the game shows up and makes that thread where they say, how come there are these whispering bones in that one place in the Cosmodrome? And somebody steps into the thread and says, oh, he's adorable. All right, who wants to tell the story? And the fact that, so quickly we arrived at a place where the Destiny community had heritage. The Destiny community had history and old stories. And, you weren't there for the original invasion, huh? Well, let me talk to your replacement guy about the day when, the Cryptarch wasn't very generous, and we all had to shoot into the dark. And it's just something that has created a richer tapestry for people to feel like they're part of a movement. They belong to a place instead of just consumers of a piece of software.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because even as you just put out in your weekly update, the Wolves, they're about to leave. So that's a part of the game. If you come in on September 15th, you're not going to be able to see. So, and like you say, with the loot cave, it was so funny because I was there last week and I was like, let me just go in and play, because I completely forgot about it. So it's just so funny that you now have these landmarks of the past in this game. But I know I'm taking up a lot of your time, so I just want to ask a couple more questions and I'll let you get out of here.
Yeah.
Going back to the community, before
you finish this question, just to be abundantly clear, if I was in a bar somewhere right now, this is the conversation I'd be having. So you're not imposing upon me at all. I'm actually talking to somebody who loves this game, and this is my favorite topic of conversation. So I'm all yours.
Take that, Danny. Did you hear that? No, it's just joking. So I do want to go to that year one video, which I think I saw it the first time at E3, and then you guys put it out a few weeks after that. But when I talk about the year one video, specifically, it expressed the community that's been built around this game. Like I watch More Console on YouTube. He cracks me up. I watch Dado, Planet Destiny, their YouTube videos, and even their website gives me a lot of information on the game. Like you mentioned, Reddit. Reddit is just a grand source of information about the game. So what went into that year one video? How much of a hand did you have in that?
Oh, God. Well, I mean...
and Guardian Radio, too. I have to mention them because I listen to them every Monday, so they're great, too.
Guardian Radio was such a great source of connective tissue for that year one video, because we did try to phrase it up as a chronological journey from the reveal of Destiny through the first gameplay experiences, through the launch, through people being aware of some of the different evolutions and expansions to that world. And anytime we needed to sort of establish the chronology again, we could always run home to Mark Turcotte, the role he plays almost as the Walter Cronkite of the Destiny community, saying, okay, guys, here's what's going on now. And, he would just sort of lay it out for us. So the editors of that video, found a great character in him and the cast of Guardian Radio to set the stage as we moved from topic to topic. But all of those personalities you mentioned, Planet Destiny, Holtzman and Pope Bear and all those guys. More Console obviously is the energetic person who's always talking about the new events, getting people excited about what's next, and then Datto, the professor, I like to call him, because I knew that shooter bros like me were going to need an analytical mind like his to explain these MMO mechanics. We were going to bring so many people from our legacy fan base into this new, highly elaborate experience, and every voice in the Destiny community plays a crucial role. Like I said before, it's ridiculous to think that one person or even 2 or 3 people or, a dozen people, if you count all of the, like the marketing and visual design people at Bungie that create the things that serve the Destiny community, or even the hundreds of people at Bungie that enable that experience that brings the Destiny community together. No matter how many people you include in those categories, we're still outnumbered millions to one. So the fact that the community has so much connective tissue, I've said, point blank, like I raised a toast at Gamescom. We had a lot of those same people in a room, and I told them I am a Bungie community manager. I'm not the Bungie community manager. There are so many community managers that play Destiny, whether they're talking to their own YouTube subscribers or their own podcast listeners or, their own, Twitch audience. There are so many people that create culture surrounding this game. And there are so many people that contribute to someone's ability to feel like I play Destiny, but I'm also part of something smaller than the overall community, something larger than myself, but smaller than all of the people that have a Guardian. And that's so crucial. And we have, sort of gone to great lengths to reach out to these people as soon as we detect them. And to say, you're interested in this, you're talking a lot about it. Let us know how we can help you. Let us give you access to content before, it's available to everyone else. Having more people involved in the conversation about what this game is only good for the community. It's a social game. It's supposed to bring people together. People are supposed to contribute to each other's experience, and the more they're aware of each other and the more they see us being curious about other players of the game, I think the more they are curious about each other. And we have had so many amazing people throw their lot in with this adventure that we've created, and enabling them, and recognizing their contributions and celebrating their achievements is easily the best part about my gig. I mean, obviously, it's cool to work at Bungie. It's great to be a fly on the wall when people are talking about exciting things for the future. It's awesome when we stop working for one day and make everybody in the studio play the game so that we can understand what's coming, over the horizon, in the coming months or years. But for me personally, reaching out to someone in the community and saying, I saw that thing you did. It's awesome. I think everybody should be aware of that. And I want you to give me some comments from yourself so that they can know who you are when I share that thing out, is something that I really love to do. And we've got a new community manager at Bungie now in the form of Cosmo, who we hired from Reddit. And that's a lot of what he's doing right now, and the community creations page and the movie of the week and the community focus. And he's even got a new feature where every week he's highlighting another clan that was born on Bungie.net, sort of searching for some notoriety they can use to lure new recruits into their midst. These are the things that Cosmo and I have benefited from in years past, Bungie's close relationship with its fan base. And we're both very lucky to be able to pay that forward now. And it's a responsibility that we do not take lightly, because it's so good for everyone that plays the game if there are many people contributing to the shared culture that we all enjoy. Metaphorically, of course.
Voicemail 786-2737-GTR.
Your season-long fantasy football lineup is locked in and ready for action, but you don't have to wait until Week 16 to get paid. Put your fantasy skills to the test starting Sunday at DraftKings.com, America's favorite one-week fantasy football site, where you could kick the season off by winning $2 million. It's the biggest fantasy football contest ever. $10 million in prizes are up for grabs, including $2 million for first place and $1 million for second. 1 week fantasy means no season-long commitments. It's fantasy football on demand. Play where you want, when you want, with the players you want, and turn your love of football into a life-changing experience today. Just pick your players, pile up the points, pick up your cash. That's it. You've never experienced football like this. This isn't fantasy as usual. This is DraftKings. Welcome to the big time. Now, if you're like me, and you also have a fantasy league that you do for the normal 16 weeks, pretty sure you didn't pick up Tom Brady in the first or second round. Maybe you got lucky and got Tom Brady in the 5th or 6th round or something like that. But he just beat the NFL, and he's starting week 1, so he's going to be there from day 1. So with DraftKings, you don't have to be screwed out of having Tom Brady. You can go get Tom Brady in week 1. You can go get him in week 2, 3, 4, week 12, whenever you want. That's the beauty of DraftKings. So hurry to DraftKings.com now. Use our promo code Gamertag to play for free for a shot at $10 million in Sunday's Millionaire Maker event. Enter that promo code Gamertag for free entry now, only at DraftKings.com. That is DraftKings.com.
This is Gamertag Radio. Voicemail 786-2737-GTR.
Now, another thing I have just been dying to ask you, you've been to Comic-Con, E3, Gamescom, even recently PAX here. How amazing is some of the cosplay that you've seen in person?
Dude, it's so awesome. I've had a lot of different jobs and a lot of different, ways in which I got educated, coming up through life, but I did study theater in college, and costume day, when you go in to get measured for your costume and they put you into like a slick 1950s suit, or they put you into like some costume that looks like it walked right out of a movie like Dangerous Liaisons. I mean, that stuff, it literally changes the way you breathe. And when I see people clad themselves in the armor of a guardian and go striding through a convention hall, I mean, those are my people. They become a thespian for a day, and they are telling the story that comes out of our game, in the real world. So we didn't have an official presence at PAX this year. We're a couple weeks out from launching this game. So, an exhaustive panel discussion or a playable experience or any of those things were just not in the cards for us. But if PAX is in our backyard, I'd be crazy not to, drink deep of that. So with 2 tweets, I was able to lure. I mean, I have pictures of the firing squad, and by the time the podcast is out, I will have released them on the blog. But we shot video, we took pictures, we gathered, I don't know how many people. I've got pictures of a sea of people just standing up on all of the different, planters and fountains, and then we put them in the concrete area of the convention center that looks like Vex architecture. And we staged our own battle scenes, and we took pictures of these people. And, we've got, all of their names so we can keep track of them and give them credit. And just like we did in the year 1 video, we have all this content that we can spin out in the future, so that anytime anybody asks us, how awesome is the Destiny community, we can just say, this was our firing squad at PAX, and check these people out. It's such an amazing thing that people do. They invest so much time and passion and creativity into creating Vex armor, or just stitching together, the speaker's robes, or creating a perfect facsimile of Lord Shaxx, where if I saw him walking down the street in the middle of the night, I would have thought, oh, I've snapped. I've gone completely insane. There's Lord Shaxx. It's like, this intersection is no place for mercy, Guardian. And it's just like, it's so fun to see people bring the characters in our game to life, and to just sort of extend their passion, and just completely surround their own physicality with it. So if it's not apparent already, I'm a super nerd for that stuff.
Well, see, that's the thing, and I'll just give my own personal view on this. When you talk about the passion of the community and the social aspect of this game, bringing so many people together, It's like my son. He's 9 years old, and he didn't know what Destiny was. He would watch me play it in the early months. He would just sit and watch me raid or do whatever. And then one day he decided, I want to play too. But, being a responsible parent, I was like, well, I'm not going to let you talk to people you don't know. So he couldn't do in-game stuff like the Nightfall or any of the raids, but he could do the Crucible. And what I found out was he is actually a Crucible savant. He's way better than I could ever dream to be. It's just ridiculous how good he is at the game, to the point now where he solos Nightfalls. He so badly wants to do a raid, to the point that I've seriously been considering picking up a second PlayStation 4 so that we can play together, so I can kind of be there when he wants to do those kind of things. And I never thought a game could do that for me. I mean, in the weirdest way possible, it helped my son and I bond even more over this silly game, right? So I just think that's the craziest thing, because like you were talking before about the MMOs, like I've never played World of Warcraft because I didn't want to get divorced, right? So I never did an MMO. So this is the first MMO like game that I've ever played. And like you mentioned that social aspect, Friday nights is raid night. for me and my buddies. Some of them have fallen off, some of them have come back for the Taken King, but like I said, I've never had this experience with a game before, and I'm sure I'll get feedback on it. Oh, you're a fanboy on this game, but that's just what Destiny has meant to me personally. And then being in the position that I am, that I've been able to interview people like yourself, and I've been able to take a little peek behind the closed door and and see this game and talk to people that are making this game. It's been a real treat for me personally. But I do want to ask you, just before I let you go here. People that only have vanilla Destiny, maybe they tried it out at first, they didn't like it, or maybe grandma gave them the game as a gift. They don't have any of the DLC. They don't have the Taken King on September 15th. What's going to be there for them?
New things to do, new places to explore, new enemies to fight, new abilities to master. If people felt like they ran out of things to do in Destiny, there's more now. If they skipped the Dark Below and the House of Wolves, they can grab onto the Legendary Edition and they can get caught up. We've also, I think, done a better job of illuminating the path for people. And I know that's a silly way to say it, but we saw a lot of people play Destiny and reach the top of the level cap. They reached level 20 with their Guardian, and the game didn't really beckon them in any one direction. There were vendors that you could go talk to. There was the Crucible if you wanted to. You could go in and you can play, the strikes again. The development team, the creative directors on the Taken King have done such a great job with this questing system that even if you go back and play the original campaign, when you finish, there's always a queue for what you can do next. And even I, someone who works at Bungie and has access to all these people, when I finished playing the missions, I was like, well, I'll do what I always do. I'll go in and play competitive multiplayer now, and that was the bridge for me. And then eventually I'm ready to do the raids and, I'm ready to tackle some of the more challenging things. But we really do see the Taken King as an entry point for new players and a opportunity for other players to come back into the world of Destiny and to see what we've learned, to see how we have created more streamlined progression systems, more rewarding scenarios for them to acquire the things that are going to make their Guardian more powerful. I think one of the most interesting things for me about Destiny is just when it starts to feel stagnant, I'll acquire a new weapon. And now I have Red Death, so let's figure out what that does. Just when I feel like I've done everything and I understand everything, new missions with new events come out, and now I'm hunting the wolf packs. And, Destiny is a game that will challenge you to continue to get reacquainted with it. And as we begin year 2, I'm hoping that a lot of these people might give it another chance. Not because I feel like we need a do-over, but because we have done a better job of respecting the time that people spend in the game now. And I think if they come back in, if there was something that didn't quite click for them, if there was something about it that was good for 3 months, that's great. There are many games that I've played and been satisfied with and put down. And if that's what Destiny is for you, there's no wrong way to play this game. And if we need to keep creating new experiences for you to come back, we're committed to doing that. So it's really up to them. If they do come back, we'll still be here. The community team is a larger group of people now, and we've got a little bit of a better stride for doing what we do than we had back in September, last September. And we are at your service, to listen and to react and to make sure that you have the information that you need to get the most out of your experience. Even if that means here's a clan over here and they're recruiting and they will, in fact, take you on your first raid.
Final question from me. So you've already put out a ton of information about the Taken King. So that's the point I even wanted you to come on. I didn't want to really even talk about that so much. I wanted to focus more on the community. So with that said, you introduced things like the Twitch streams with the House of Wolves, and you continued it here with the launch of the Taken King. Can you give us any insight or a sneak peek into things you might be thinking about doing for year 2 with the community?
No way. and I adore you for asking, but I am so completely in the mode of having talked about this game all summer long. The community doesn't owe me but I am going to drink deep of some of the inevitable feedback. Right. It's time for the feedback loop to reverse. We have talked, we have revealed, we have educated, we have forecasted, we have teased. We have issued warnings. We have set appointments. People know when the raid is coming out. People know when the patch notes are landing. They know exactly the moment they can go and start to play the Taken King. At this point in time, like I said at the top of our conversation, I am so looking forward to being the guy that gets to listen now. I've told you what we thought it would be. Now tell me what it is. Tell me why it's great. Tell me how it could be better. Tell me what you want more of. Tell me what you never want to see again. We relish in that. This year would have been so boring if our only function as a community team was retweeting people who were saying nice things. We would have learned that much less about what makes Destiny a great experience for people. We need to be challenged. We need to be confronted. And we welcome that. So I'm really looking forward to the community catching up and having a chance to say, okay, here's what we think the Taken King is. And as I said before, I've studied a lot of theater in my time, and worked with companies in Chicago, that put on their own shows. And showmanship is pretty important to me. And I know that, we live in this interconnected age where you can have access to anything that humanity has ever known, at the touch of a smartphone. But I do enjoy that moment when the curtain goes up, metaphorically, and we surprise people. So maybe more than they would appreciate, I do like to hold some of those details close to the vest, because I know there are people out there in the community who say, like you just said, you're talking to us a lot about the Taken King right now. These Twitch reveals have been exhaustive, and you've told us everything that we wanted to know about investment or progression or, strike design or investment design or encounter design. And a couple people have asked me point blank, is there going to be anything left for us to discover when the game comes out? Because I love those Vault of Glass moments where I'm lost in the dark with 6 people and we're all freaking out because we don't know what's going on. Like, have you saved that for us? And it's like, guys, absolutely. There's absolutely the dark unknown in the Taken King. There's a lot of content in this game. It's good stuff, and we've saved some of it for you to figure out for yourself. And what lies beyond the Taken King, the other things that we're planning to do in year 2, are also things that I'm interested to talk about. But the community has many, many hurdles to vault before we can get there. So I guess that's a conversation that you and I can have at a later date.
Sounds good to me. Now, one final bonus question, and I already know what the answer is, but I'm going to ask it because he begged me to do it. So here we go. Pete wants to know, he's on the Xbox One. He really wants to play on the PlayStation 4, but he wants to keep all his characters from the Xbox One. Can you make an exception just for him, nobody else, just for him, and transfer his characters to the PlayStation 4?
Certainly cannot.
There you go, Pete.
What Pete could do is start a character on the PlayStation 4, and he can use the new boost consumable so that character would be marched right up to the starting line. And that's not just a matter of granting him level, but also giving him some of the weapons and the gear that he would need to begin an adventure in the Taken King as a brand new minted Guardian. I'm going to be doing this with my first ever Titan. My first ever official Titan. I've rolled Titans on many occasions on, test builds in the studio. I committed to the Warlock, in the retail version of the game. But, for the first time ever, officially and publicly and inspectable on Bungie.net, I'm going to, create a Titan, and I'm going to be able to do that without, power leveling, as they say. So I think that's another thing that we've done to make this a great entry point or a great returning point for players who want to jump back in, and get what they want to get out of Destiny without feeling like they have to do things they don't want to do. That's usually when gamers start to use the word grind. And that word means a lot of different things to different types of players. To some types of players, it's you're out in the world killing defenseless furry objects so that your weapon is strong enough to take on a boss, at another time. In Destiny, I think the players mean I would rather be doing something challenging, but I'm doing this right now because I need stuff. So with the Boost consumable, we'll give you your stuff, because what we want you to do is play with your friends and enjoy your time and never feel like you've been left behind.
See, Pete, just come over to the PlayStation 4. You can get a Hawk Moon and not have to get it on Xbox One. DeeJ, you're really good at your job. That's amazing. I expected a simple no, and that'd have been it. But hey, I love the explanation. So again, thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I know we went way longer than I thought we would. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, like I said, time flies. And, I thank you for being passionate about what we do. And thanks for being interested in the Taken King. If we didn't have players who were excited to make this game, it would be a lot less fun to make it. And, if there wasn't for a community, I wouldn't have a job. So,
right.
Yeah, it's a symbiosis, my good man, a symbiosis.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, again, DeeJ, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I'm going to take a break now. And when we come back, we will wrap up the show.
This is Gamertag Radio. Voicemail 786-2737-GTR.
All right, that was an interview with DeeJ, all about Destiny, the Taken King.
Got me hyped. I'm ready, man. I'm ready to get back in the world of Destiny. I've missed it thoroughly.
Yeah. I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to talk about it every single week.
Single week.
For the whole year.
Stop.
Yeah.
But hopefully it's good talk. Hopefully it's not, oh my God, what have they done? I from everything I've heard and everybody I've do, I think things are looking up for Destiny, and that's good. I'd love for new players to either give it another chance or at least, try it. I think $60 is a fair amount of money now for Destiny with all the stuff you get, including Taken King. I think that is a good bargain. But
definitely.
We got voicemails, don't we?
We have a lot of voicemails. And by the way, before we play the voicemails, quick announcement here, very quick. I am planning to go to New York City for a week. Over there, I'm going to be visiting friends and family. And I would love to meet some community members that listen to the show there in the New York City area. Let me know. Email me at godfrey@gamertagradio.com if you're around the New York City area. And let's get together. I would like to meet a couple of listeners from over there around the area. Probably we'll do like a little small, very, very small meetup. And we'll see. We'll make it happen. And here's a cool thing. I'm planning to record a special episode over there in New York City at CBS Radio during the week I'm there. And I'm going to give you more information about this later, but very quick, Pete and Parris are flying out to London in a week or so. And they're planning to record over there too. So we're going to have multiple special episodes from New York City and London. So stay tuned with that, because that's going to be very, very cool, and I can't wait.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah. All right, so let's go with fan mail.
Fan mail at gamertagradio.com.
All right. P is not here, so there's no...
I was thinking about it, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to steal the man's thunder. If he wants to record and edit it in, that's all on him, but we have stuff to talk about.
Yes. But let me go with this, because the first voicemail I'm going to play is from a listener. Her name is Karina. She's from Norway, and she did something very special for the whole Gamertag Radio crew. She sent me a package as a surprise to celebrate the release of our 500th episode. And I was like, okay, received it, opened it up, and it was really, really cool, man. It was a nice letter. Talking about, a little bit about herself. She listens to the show and everything. And inside the package, there was a couple of things. There was 2 chocolate bars from Norway, which is delicious, by the way.
Oh, I can imagine. Very,
very delicious. Another one is a coin from our arcade place that she was telling me that if we ever plan to go to Norway, that I could use that coin to one of the arcades that's over there, located around her area. And she sent me also a flash drive USB that in there was a voicemail, like a question she wanted to ask to the whole crew. I know Pete and Parris, they're not here for this episode, for this part of fan mail. So eventually, hopefully, they can answer that question maybe sometime next week or something. But so we're going to play this voicemail. But I would like to thank her for that was pretty cool. Like for her to send that package all the way from Norway, it means a lot to me and to the whole crew because that's why I love our community because they're always there. You know, they will support us all the way. If we're in the different cities, we could always do like little meetups and stuff with other community members. So keep it up, guys. I love it, love it, love it. And also, in the future, anybody that would like to send us voicemails but they can't call the hotline, you could easily record something from your phone, from your computer, MP3 files, and just send it to fanmail@gamertagradio.com. That's fanmail@gamertagradio.com, and I will definitely play it on the show. All right, so let's play this voicemail all the way from Norway. Karina, let's go.
Hi guys, Karina here. Congratulations on your 500th episode. Thank you for making us feel like we've been a part of this for a long time. The way you address the fans and the chemistry you guys got together is really, really great, and it makes it the best podcast out there. You make us laugh out loud on the bus to work, which is really embarrassing, and we discuss with our phones and our radios during each episode. And the way you keep in contact with the fans through Twitter and all the other social media, we give you a lot of loyal fans, and that's so important to us and to you as podcasters. Second of all, I need to ask you a question. If you could pick one game, any game, from Space War and 62 to newer games, which would you want a remake of, and which developer should make it? I think I would pick Battlezone or Zork, both from the 80s, just to see how they would make those games in the 21st century. Text-based or outlined. And developer, Rockstar, just to make it fun. Which game would you absolutely not see as a remake? I have to go with GoldenEye, because that game got a special place in my heart, and I don't want my childhood memories shattered. So, that's it from me. Again, congratulations. You guys are great. Thank you. Talk to you later. Bye.
Ooh, 2 questions on that, Patrick. So, you would like to answer the first one? I'll do the first one.
I mean, I'll take a shot at it. This is something I kind of had to mull over for a while because, I mean, to me, I was treating this as like, I'm a CEO. I get to remake one awesome game. What do I pick? I'm going to go with Bushido Blade. Way back from the PS1 days, which was, if you don't know what Bushido Blade is, it was a super experimental 1v1 3D fighting game that tried to be realistic, even in PS1, with the swords, being one-hit kills, or you can maim people, if you can't use an arm, can't use a leg, but, really cool, experimental game that, because the PS1 was full of that whole idea of, we have 3D technology for the first time, we can do brand new gameplay experiences, what can we come up with? And you got results, things like Bushido Blade. I think that could totally come back. The developers still exist, actually. They used to be called Lightweight, and now they are changed their name a little bit to Bergsala Lightweight, but they're still a company out of Japan. They're still running. I don't know. They haven't made a game since 2008, and it was a skydiving game, so I don't know really if they're thinking about making games anymore. I'd love for Bushido Blade to come back. I think it would totally have an audience, probably as a digital download-only game. Say $30, make a lot of money off of it. Or if I want to get crazy, let Platinum Games take a crack at it. Because Platinum Games has never actually made a straight-up like 1v1 fighting game, and I think Bushido Blade would be the perfect experimental platform to them to try to move into that genre. So yeah, I think either one of those companies, either original developer or Platinum Games, can make a really good Bushido Blade if they put their minds to it. And I think fans would respond to it too. And new people who've never even heard of it before would love it once they got their hands on it. So that for me is what I would pick.
Okay, well, I was going to mention a game here, but they did have a sequel. This guy was looking online.
But if the sequel's bad, though, that doesn't disqualify. To be fair, Bushido Blade had a sequel, and it was good. And then it had some spin-offs as well, but none of them were as good as the original magic, if you will. So don't feel bad that, because that's the nature of games. They make sequels until they're bad and they don't make them anymore. Sad.
That's true. Yeah, I agree with her about GoldenEye. That's a special game from the Nintendo 64, but they did kind of release a newer game a couple years ago, but it's not exactly from Rare. You remember the one that Activision released?
It was the Reloaded one. Yeah, it was Daniel Craig in the place of Pierce Brosnan, kind of retelling the story, but essentially it was just a Call of Duty knockoff. That's all it was. I played it, I beat it. It was okay. And then you had that throwback, remember on the original Xbox, you had that, I forget what it was called, but it was the GoldenEye game where you played as the bad guy, the anti-hero, trying to take down Bond, and that was okay as well. But yeah, I agree with her. I mean, they really struck gold with the first GoldenEye, literally. And Perfect Dark, of course, was a wonderful sequel and expansion of that. So yeah, I don't think they could ever bring that back. So, yeah, what would you pick, Danny? If you couldn't say GoldenEye, what do you think would be a game that you would not want to be remade?
I was gonna say an old game, but they really released a sequel. This Scared or Die, the arcade game.
Oh yeah,
but they did have a sequel, and I thought they didn't. But I was so addicted to that game, especially during the arcade games. I remember I used to skip school and I used to go to the arcade just to play that game. Or if my mom would send me to the grocery store in New York, I'll go and take a couple, the change from the store, and I'll go over there to the nearest arcade and play that game over and over. But yeah, they did release a sequel, so yeah, I would have picked that one. But here's one game that I'd rather have it how it is like that, and maybe release it as an HD version. But I don't want this to become like a sequel at all. And this is a very special game to me during the Sega Dreamcast days. Choo Choo Rocket. I have it for my iPad. Sega released it for that. That game is so cool, man. Like just the puzzles and multiplayer wise was actually fun too. Like when I used to play that on the Sega Dreamcast, we should do like a Japan versus USA, and how it's 4 people playing at the same time, and like 2 of us is from the US and 2 of them are from like the Japan. So we should go to the Japanese servers and just attack. Like, okay, let's go. Let's battle it out. All the time, man. It was very, very, very cool. That was my first online game. Period.
Oh, nice.
So and actually that was the first online console game actually before NFL came out. NFL 2K1. So yeah,
it's weird because
cool
my first Xbox Live game was an NFL 2K game, whichever one that first Xbox One early one was. So yeah.
Oh, was it NFL Fever?
It wasn't Fever. It was the one, I think T.O. was on the cover. But it was like the one where like you could customize your crib and like buy cool stuff and pretend like you were living a life.
Oh, okay. Was
and
that
it had
the
first person
$20
football?
one?
Like that was the big one.
Yeah, that was NFL 2K. That was that the $20 one that everybody was like, oh my god. And then after that, EA Sports made a deal with the NFL for them to have the exclusive rights for the game. That's when they stopped. Okay, yeah, I remember that. That was a classic.
It was. I mean, I didn't even like football games that much, but like going from Madden to that was like, oh wow, this is way more fun, and I really miss it greatly. Stupid licensing.
Yeah, hopefully next week P and Parris could answer Karina's questions. That was a pretty good question.
That was a good question.
Thanks. Thanks, Karina. Karina, remember, you could also send us voicemails through email. You don't have to call our hotline. But thank you so much for sending in a package. That was really, really cool.
That was cool.
All right.
Thank you.
And here's a couple weeks ago, we released this episode about digital games. We talked about the new Nintendo console that is not going to have optical disc. Man, that caused a lot of people.
Got a lot of backlash about that, didn't we?
Big time email and voicemails. But we're going to play 3 voicemails about it. The first one is very, very, he's very anti-digital. So I'm going to play it right now.
What's up, Gamertag Radio? This is Jason, a.k.a. Running Late. I just got finished listening to the show where you guys were talking about the new Nintendo system not having a optical disc, and that you guys thought that it did not need a disc. I could not believe that this was coming out of you guys' mouth. I am totally shocked. I mean, I've been playing video games for a long time, and the second use for every one of my video game systems is to play movies on the TV that is on. Without an optical disc, it seems like Nintendo is already settling in, saying that they're second place, that they know that you're going to have another video game unit on your TV besides their system, because they won't even put an optical disc in. They know it's not the primary system on that TV. And I was shocked to hear you guys think that they didn't need to have one. I think that if Nintendo wants to place themselves as the number one gaming unit, they need to have an optical disc that says that this will be the only unit that you will have on that TV. Otherwise, I'm going to put an Xbox, a PlayStation, or some other system that has Blu-ray, DVD capabilities so I can watch my movies on the TV. It's that simple. Who doesn't use a video game system to play Blu-ray or DVD? I know I don't have a separate Blu-ray or DVD player at home. How many gamers actually do? Any of you guys? This is Running Late. I'm out.
All right, so look, here's the thing. and I need to explain to this to everybody, man. I know change is hard. I know that people rather have the physical copy because at the same time they could sell it, use games, and I appreciate everybody calling us and emails and voicemails. Thanks a lot. I appreciate that big time. But here's the thing. I think that by companies creating digital only games, I think that's gonna help the industry a lot more because if you think about it, companies are losing a lot of money when you see stores like Best Buy, GameStop selling used games. They're not getting no profit out of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? From the business side, yes, to us as a consumers, like, nah, I'd rather buy the cheap version. But how's that helping the industry if you actually think about it? When years ago, another thing too, years ago, I was like very anti MP3 and all that stuff back then because I was like, nah, I like my CDs, I like my cassettes, I like my vinyls, But eventually, you will notice that it's easier for me instead of carrying all that stuff with me. I could just have everything in just digitally on my device. Same thing with all the games that I have here. Look, we moved to a bigger apartment, right? The last apartment, I didn't have no space at all because I had so many games that I've been collecting for years since I started with GTR. So I had to rent a place to put all my stuff there, all my games, just on my games alone. And now with me going digitally, like full blast for this generation, it helped me a lot because now I could just buy a bigger hard drive. I have a 4 terabyte hard drive connected to my Xbox, and I have there as a backup just in case I'm going to start downloading more for my PlayStation 4 and my Wii U. And I'm happy. Dude, it's easier for me to change the game. There's benefits out of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot, to me, in my opinion, a lot more than buying physical copies. Now, here's the thing. I'm very, very careful on the stuff that I buy. I don't buy things just because, oh my God, it's a new game, let me buy it. I do my research, or we seen the game during E3 or other events, and then I decide if I will buy it. Plus, the companies also send us games to review all the time too, But imagine you have to rent a place just to put your stuff there. Honestly, my girlfriend looks at me like, "Hey, we need to make space here." You know what I'm saying, Patrick?
Yeah,
like,
no, I see what you're saying, man.
It's too much. And at the same time, guys, we're not in the 1980s or 90s. It's 2015. It's going to happen eventually. And honestly, when it comes to movies, because I know he mentioned about Blu-ray, he buys movie all the time and stuff or rent. I haven't purchased a Blu-ray movie in years. The only thing that I do is all streaming through Netflix, or I rent it through my iTunes and just watch it through there too, or from my Google Play Store. Like, to me, have you been buying stuff too, Patrick, or no?
I pretty much have gone digital for this gen so far, but the side effect of that is I filled up my hard drive space 2 times over and have to keep deleting things just to stay current. So it is an issue. I do need an external hard drive of some kind. The issue of Blu-ray movies is more up in the air for me. I am a person that uses like Redbox kind of things, so I do actually like go and get physical Blu-ray disc, take them, put it in my PS4, Xbox One, watch them, take them back the next day. But I know that I don't want to say I'm a minority, but I know that technology is working against me. And in the future, I will just do like what you do, stream something through iTunes or a paid service, or I predominantly use a lot of Netflix as well. So movies, it's tough to say. I will say that moving forward, I still think that the next Xbox and PlayStation need optical drives for Blu-ray movie support. Obviously, we'll still have physical games for at least one or more generation. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Just because a lot of people, as we have seen, are still pretty furiously against this transition into digital. So I can completely understand that. But I think, at least in Nintendo's case, if we're going to make them the example, I think they have always been the secondary console since essentially, the GameCube came out. And there's nothing wrong with that because a lot of people still are huge Nintendo fans, but they like other kinds of experiences on Xbox and PlayStation as well. So they don't mind buying a Nintendo console to, be an accessory, if you will, to their main primary console. So I think the NX is the best setup to make this work if it truly is not going to have an optical drive at launch. And I think my strategy, if I was, one of the in the boardroom from Nintendo making these decisions, I would say go ahead and for your first party games, take a huge gamble here and just start selling them for $50 straight up, digitally only. So that way, the only way to get that new cool Nintendo game is to go buy it directly from Nintendo and give them your full $50, as opposed to waiting for an inevitable used version and then it's picking up then. Because a lot of people always give Nintendo crap because they never drop the price on their main games, specifically things like Mario and Smash Brothers and Zelda. They stay full price a long, long time, pretty much until the next iteration comes out. And I think that works because those games are strong. They are well developed. They had time put into them. They're usually really fun games, a lot of replay value. I mean, this is why Nintendo still exists to this day, and why Sega sadly did not get to carry on as a hardware developer. They just couldn't adapt to the changing ways like Nintendo could, and Nintendo still knows that magic formula, if you will, that Miyamoto formula, to make great fun experiences that anybody can play. So yeah, if I was Nintendo, go ahead, make the experiment that you still sell the Wii, you still see the 3DS, you have that market, but try the NX, push that, try that $50, because maybe people remember when games are $50. We were all so mad when all of a sudden they were $60 for no reason overnight. It's like $60. Why are they $60 now? What's the difference? Obviously, game development is way more expensive, but I feel like if you take the manufacturing of the disc and the shipment, that having to send these physical versions to stores, you take that cost out of the equation, I think knocking off $10 for your consumer is a win. And you may take a bit of a loss in the beginning, but I think the word of mouth will spread. People will see the console. They'll be impressed by hopefully the normal functioning controller, nothing crazy again like Nintendo likes to do. And they'll be like, yeah, this is what I want. This is like, say the Ultra Nintendo that I've always wanted, the sequel to the Super Nintendo. This is Nintendo coming back into the forefront. If I was Nintendo, this is the kind of decisions I would make, because I think Nintendo is poised to, make a huge jump. Because people, maybe sleeping on the Wii U, but I think this NX could be a huge deal. But again, I don't know any more than the common person, because we all we know is it exists. We've seen the patents for it. I'm really excited to see more information about it. Hopefully soon.
Yeah. All right. Well, we have two more voicemails about the same topic, so we're gonna play it back to back, and we'll be right back. Let's play right now.
What's up, Gamertag Radio? This is Jacob giving you a call from Charlotte. Once again, as always, big fan. Currently, I'm here listening to episode 499 with you guys talking about Nintendo's next system without the optical drive, so you think it's going straight digital. Like right now, I currently buy all my games digital anyway. And you said it's going to kill the used game market. I mean, do you think that companies would do anything to try to supplement that? Like maybe giving you the ability to use your digital copy of a game that would generate like another code for the game, but lock you out of it, then like let you sell that code or something along those lines. So, you still have the ability to sell a game that you don't play anymore. I have like maybe 20 games plus in my game library. A lot of those I know I'm never going to go back to and play again. I'd like to get a couple dollars off of them, but it's just no way for me to do that at the moment. But you think that they'll have any innovations like that with the customer in mind that will let you maybe sell a game or give it away to somebody? Just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think, though.
What's up, Gamertag Radio? This is Chris the Mailman calling from Cleveland, Ohio. Love the show. Listen to you guys every week while I'm out on my route. I'm just listening to the show, and you guys are talking about the new Nintendo and how all these systems are probably going to be digital only in the future. They won't be selling discs anymore, and I just ain't with it. I know that's the future, but I'm one of them guys that I'm not a collector. I don't keep dusty games sitting on my shelf. Once I beat them, I sell them to try to get some of my money back for them so I can keep buying them. I just pre-ordered 5 games yesterday. Metal Gear, Call of Duty, Halo, Tomb Raider, Battlefront. That's $300 in games right there. And I know with some of those, like Metal Gear, Tomb Raider, and Halo for me, because I'm not really into the Halo online. I just like playing the campaign. I'm going to trade those in, or I put them on eBay. I get more money than trading them in. And I'm going to sell them so I can get some of my money back and keep buying games.
Star Wars Battlefront, for example, it looks cool, but I got a feeling after about a month or two, I'm going to be bored of it, and I'll probably want to sell it and try to get something for it. I'll probably get like $30, $40 for it. And if the future is where they're all digital and I can't trade them in, I'm just going to have to be a lot more careful about what games I buy and not take as many chances as I do now. I don't know if they could like make it so you could trade or sell your digital games and maybe then they get a cut of it. I mean, if they could do something like that, then I'd be down. That'd be cool. But I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Love the show. I listen to you every week. Thanks a lot.
All right, so that's first of all, thanks guys for calling, and I know they mentioned about selling their games maybe digitally to, let's say, PlayStation Store, Xbox Live, or maybe a Nintendo Store also, and they'll probably will get credit for them to also buy a digital game, which is cool. I see that happening in the future. I think companies understand about that part about used games, and it makes sense. It makes sense. Now they're not. You gotta be ready because you guys are not gonna get a lot of money back, but at least it's something, right? And if they put this part of the feature digitally in the future. Now here's a thing too that I forgot to mention during the last part before we play the voicemails. Let's say Xbox announces a Xbox One Mini, or PlayStation announce PlayStation 4 Mini, like something small, without the optical disc, which I could see this happening in the future. They could release that type of console, make it cheaper, way cheaper than the current ones, and have it available just that only for you to buy digital games.
I don't see it happening for Xbox and PlayStation because I think the third-party support would really suffer under that. Because, don't get me wrong, I mean, people that have PlayStations or that just have a PS4, just have an Xbox One, you're damn sure that they're going to buy things like, Halo or Uncharted. That people still want these big exclusive games so they can only get on one system, and they'd probably be more willing to go ahead and just buy them digitally because to them, they kind of bought the system for this game, or, one of the reasons you plan on keeping it. And unless, something terrible happens, like, it's a bait and switch of this game looked amazing, all of a sudden it's not, or, the servers don't work at launch, or other technical issues. Yeah, but I don't know. I just don't see people like Activision or EA, or Ubisoft being really excited about that concept because I think that hurts their bottom line because...
I disagree because if you think about it now, EA is doing it now with EA Access.
But that's their own thing, though. And I feel like they wouldn't be getting the same cut or deal that, going through.
Yes, they are. Yes, they will.
Would.
They will. Exactly. Look, because remember, if let's say you buy Destiny physical copy at the store for a PlayStation 4, and I buy the same exact game, instead of buying the physical, I'm getting it the digital. You trying to tell me that companies are not getting the same cut because of that?
I just feel like in my experience, third-party games sell more physically just because that's the nature of third-party is they can have the marketing push probably on both fronts usually for multi-platform games.
For now.
But yes, things are obviously changing. But I just saying if let's just be hypothetical here. If they went ahead and came out with the optical-only versions of both consoles, Xbox and PS4, by the end of the year, and they were available, in time for the holidays, up against the traditional ones that still are able to play physical disc, I just don't see them overtaking. Because people are going to be looking at the store and be like, well, I'd love to save money, but, I might save more money in the long run being able to sell my used games. Because a lot of people, as our listeners have said, they're very much in that mindset. To them, the games are, something to be played, enjoyed, turned in, for the next experience. And I was that way for a long time. Pretty much only until recently have I started turning into more of a collector. And it's now more of a digital collection. Because like you said, I have a whole basement full of games. They just take up a whole bunch of space and it's kind of annoying. So yeah, digital is great, but again, need bigger hard drives. So I think the key here is if those optical the ones without optical drives, if they had much bigger hard drives, like at least a terabyte, or maybe some crazy like 2 terabytes, that would be a huge selling point. So I could totally see that they went that route.
Disagree about the whole third party thing. If if the company, let's say EA or Activision or Ubisoft, they have a choice of releasing a game and sending a lot of copies digitally, or releasing a game and selling physical copies, which one you think they say they sell the same amount of copies, both sides. Which one will get more money, physically or digitally? If it's the same amount of sales and both.
I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not really that in depth into the economics of where the money trades hands from the store to the publisher to the developer. It'd be really close, but I just think because things like GameStop and Best Buy and Target and Walmart exist and still make a lot of money selling physical games, the edge is always, I know you had a hypothetical if they sold the same amount, but just in actual practice, more people go out and be like, oh, that new game came out, and they go to the store and they physically buy it, as opposed to, just being on the PlayStation or Xbox store and being like, oh, I don't know what that is. I feel like you're more likely to take a risk on something you can physically pick up, look at, ask someone at the store about. But the other side of the coin is they have the Let's Play as well, which is a huge benefit.
But that's not my question though. My question is, and okay, I'm going to answer it right now so we can play the next voicemail. Thing is, Patrick, as a company, when you release a game, physical game, right, physical copy, you need to pay the artwork, the paper, the package, sending the package to the stores. There's a thing that you have to spend a lot of money to market those games in different places and retail stores, right? Send it digitally to Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo, and that's it. Have your little artwork there. You're not paying for paper. You're not paying for disc. You're not paying for nothing. So you will save a lot more money. And another thing, too, is that's the reason there's a lot of independent companies that release game strictly digitally.
Oh, no, I agree with that. Because I think that's the right move.
They're saving a lot of money. If the game is successful, like let's say Shovel Knight, or I could mention a couple other more, then eventually have the physical copy later down the road and have it in different places in the stores and so on. But you need to wait for the game to be a success in order for you to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, I know a lot of people get mad and all this stuff, but learn from the business side too. Like, don't be crazy and saying, that you're mad and this and that. Understand the business, because look, when we were young, we didn't know what the hell was going on. Like, when it comes to like the business side of video games, we just were.
No, all we knew is we could take our games to a store and get money for them, buy other games. It was a perfect system when you're young. Absolutely.
See, and another thing too that I want to mention, that back then in the 80s and the 90s, the games from that time used to be expensive, more expensive than there is now, because
there was no universal pricing standard back then. It was
not only that, but companies had to pay for the cartridge. Like, it was very expensive to make, especially companies creating games for the Nintendo 64. That was really expensive for them. You know what I'm saying? Like, but what happened? Systems like PlayStation, those discs made it cheaper for companies to reproduce, to send it to retail stores. So that's, people were excited about that part, and eventually I see companies lowering the price for digital games for the current or future consoles in the future. I see that happening. Maybe instead of having it for $60, maybe 40 or 50, and it's possible. It's possible, So, all right, so we're going to play another voicemail, and this one is dedicated to Poston J. Poston, this is all you, and this is from our good friend Phoenix. He's also a hardcore GTR listener. Let's play it right now.
Godfrey, Gamertag Radio, what is going on? It's Phoenix. I listened to your latest episode, and I completely disagree with Austin. Sorry. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is the worst thing I've touched in years. I think it's 100% horrible. And outside of that, I challenge y'all to give the war match. Let's do this. Let's make this thing happen. All right? Keep up the good work. Talk to y'all later.
All right, so we have to say to Phoenix about this, Patrick.
First off, what's up, dude? Good to hear your voice again. I can't believe we still haven't played the new Gears yet, but we'll get to that in a second. Your question, or I guess your concern about Black Ops 3, I think it's fair. I think certainly if you're the kind of person that really enjoyed things like Call of Duty 4, And then you look at Black Ops 3, it's a completely different game. I mean, it's a night and day difference. And some people just are not okay with that. And I think that's fine because the game has... Black Ops 3 has got more in common with Quake now and Titanfall than it ever did with its past series.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, because they need to have a presence this year and they need to stand out because Call of Duty still moves a lot of copies, and this is going to be one of those years, kind of like the last 2 years, where it's like we're kind of unsure of the future of Call of Duty. But it's Treyarch this time around. And as someone, I played the beta, both systems, PS4 and Xbox One. I think it's a very fun game, but I can totally understand how someone just does not like it at all. I mean, I've watched my friends play, and they get very frustrated of, how run, jump, and twitch it is. Because essentially it's kind of like almost like a PC game now, but you're still playing it on consoles with a controller, so it's kind of tough to keep up with what's going on the action. I think to have a more formulative opinion, I have to see the rest of the game modes and the maps, and more importantly, what the single player experience is going to be like. Because I always enjoy at least playing that portion of it. But in terms of like Black Ops 3 being a day one buy, I think as the closer we get to more of these major releases coming out, the more I'm going to be kind of on the other side of the fence of maybe I'll just wait and see how it plays out, or maybe I'll just rent it somewhere close by and play the single player, take it back, because I'll be so busy with so many other games. But I still think it's a fun game. I still want to play it. I like what they've done with it. But with staying power, I may not be seeing it this time around. But again, that's been me for most of the recent Call of Duties, like Ghost and Advanced Warfare. I played them for a bit, traded them in, moved on. So we'll wait and see. But I can totally defend Phoenix's opinion. I can understand that. It took me a little bit to get into the game, but now I got the hang of it. I do like it. I do want to play it. But, again, there's other games I am more interested in this year for sure.
Okay.
Second part of that question. Hell yeah, we have got to get some Gears of War together. Danny, you and Parris and Pete, we have all got to get on Xbox One. And play it because it's so fun. Let me get on my soapbox here for a second. If you have not played the new Gears 1 remake and you have an Xbox One, please try it. Find someone who has it. I don't know if you can rent it where you are. I know it's a physical copy, but it's worth $40. It's really fun, and as we've said in previous episodes, it really feels fresh even 9 years later because there's nothing else like that out right now. That kind of fast-paced third-person shooter, and it's a ton of fun. It's got 20 maps. They just did an update recently where now they allow all the maps on all the game modes, and dedicated servers. I mean, it's going great. I'm really having a good time, and so Phoenix, we got to play some games.
Definitely.
But yeah, GTR crew, let's mobilize. Let's make this happen.
And it's funny. I've been playing a lot of the campaign co-op. I'll randomly go online, find somebody to play with, and I put it like the most difficult part of right now I play like hardcore also, and there's Insane, right? Insane. And
Insane.
I play that like online a couple of times with random players and stuff on Xbox Live. So it's cool. I love it.
Let me give a shout out to Coalition real fast, because this is something that it took me a while to figure out, because the sad nature of video games is most games just don't really have split screen anymore. But shout out to Coalition, because Gears 1 Ultimate allows you to take a buddy and play split screen together online, like you used to be able to do in Halo, and you used to be able to do in the original Gears of War. And almost no games do that anymore. I played games before that wanted both of us to have an Xbox Live Gold profile to play split screen on the same TV, and I almost flipped my TV over. I was so angry. So again, I love games that do this, because I don't think there's any way to sell a game to a friend other than saying, sit down, play with me online, see what you think, because no one wants to just keep trading controllers around. So shout out to them. They have that feature. I played with a buddy of mine locally online. We had a great time. You can even do like 2 versus 2 gameplay. It's a ton of fun. But yeah, really, you got to try Gears 1. Even if you didn't really like it, 9 years ago, and even if you didn't like 2 or 3, because I don't like 2 or 3 that much either, you should try Gears 1 again. It is a really fun game.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up, guys. That was a Gamertag Radio episode 501. Of course, we had the exclusive interview with DeeJ. Great interview with Parris. And also the longest fan mail ever with Poston. Yeah, so far.
Send us more, please. We love them.
that was cool. Great questions, by the way.
Yeah,
great questions. Yeah. And that's it, man. Head over to gamertagradio.com or play.it. Listen to our past episodes of GTR, and remember to share with your friends. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, or if you have the new beta version of Spotify, you could also follow us through there to get all the brand new content from us, GTR style. Or give us a call, 786-273 7GTR. That's 76273-7GTR. Or fan mail at gamertagradio.com. Patrick, you want to say anything before we wrap it up?
Metal Gear Solid 5 is amazing, but I'll talk more about this after like maybe another week. Got to put more time into it, but man, it is fantastic. You like Metal Gear at all, you need to check this out.
All right, awesome. All right, guys, until next week, we're out. Peace. Take care. Bye.
You're listening to Gamertag Radio. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Thanks for listening. Tune in next week.